Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff comes in quite young. I think. I think we learn a lot about these rules and the kind of ways to perceive the world, through our childhood.
Yeah.
And the reality is, the version of these we get, it's a bit like personality. The version of the personality you get is the one that worked for you at that time. It isn't necessarily the right one or the one that's the best for all the situations. It just worked for you in that time.
The question is from Thinking Focus.
Hi, I'm Graham from Thinking Focus.
Hi, I'm Paul from Thinking Focus.
And this is podcast number 8 in a series where we explore common thinking errors. Thinking errors, the things that we all have from time to time, perfectly normal. We often make these mistakes in our thinking, but things turn out fine. However, sometimes thinking errors can get in our way, can cause us to be unsuccessful, or can cause us harm. So today's podcast, we're talking about personalisation. So Paul, the question is, what causes us to blame ourselves or others?
I'm so tempted to burst into song at this point.
What song will you sing?
It's all about you. It's all about you, baby. I can't sing, but
It's
McFly.
But you have demonstrated that very nicely.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It's all about you. Personalisation. It's all about you.
McFly. I went to see McFly.
I know, because you're so rock and roll. I've never actually seen McFly, so I am actually slightly jealous because I bet they're very good in concert. Yeah. So personalisation, it's kind of a distortion that basically makes you the centre of the world. It's all about me. It's all about me.
In this case, it is all about you.
Yeah. So that's what personalisation is. So it's taking stuff and interpreting it through a world or a lens of, that I'm at the centre of all this. Therefore, if something bad happens, it's my fault. If something good happens, I caused it. That's the distortion that's playing out here.
Right. So I guess quick side question. Is this about ego then? Are we talking about ego?
That's a good question. Possibly. Yeah. I mean, I think ego's probably, particularly on the good side.
Yeah.
But I suppose there is a kind of warped ego on the bad side to go.
What's the opposite of ego is?
Well, see, when you said ego, I'm thinking it through a Freudian lens what's that ego? Was it ego and superego walk into a bar? Have you heard this one before?
No.
Ego and superego walk into a bar and order a couple of beers, and the barman says, "Sorry, I'm going to need to see some id before I can serve you." Sorry.
Nice. Anyway, we detract.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm still thinking what the opposite of ego might be from an alter ego is the wrong thing. Anyway, we're getting off.
Well, it's almost a victimization mindset, isn't it? It's I am the cause of my downfall.
Yes. Yeah.
As Spike Milligan again, isn't it? So it's where and particularly when we talk about personalization, we look at the negative side, but you can look at the positive side because both of them can be harmful. But
and that's quite a common thing with thinking errors, isn't it? We quite often in this series talked about it particularly from a more negative point of view. But we have touched on somewhere it does work both ways.
Yes, and I think it's really important to recognise that with personalisation. So you put this back to it's another way of looking at some of the thinking errors is to look at the cognitive biases that sit behind them, and that God, it's gone from my head. What's the bias that fundamental attribution error? It's back in my head. Where
I can see why that wasn't.
Yeah. Where you kind of mistakenly go, you can go, if things go well, it's because I'm a genius. If things go badly, it's because the world is bad.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
However, if things go well for you, it's because you're lucky. And if things go badly for you, it's because you're rubbish. And we call that the fundamental attribution error. So we flip this thing out. I can do no wrong and you can do no right. Is a very common.
That pretty much sums up how you see our relationship. I think.
Again, you just personalised that. It's not all about you.
I think it is.
I think that was just an example. Stop personalising. And so I've completely lost my train of thought now. Thanks for that. So it is that, I can think of occasions where I've coached people where the personalisation is around the good.
Yeah.
And it's quite protective and helpful for them at the start and then becomes quite destructive because they're starting to actually believe their own hype.
Right.
I don't know, maybe some political leaders might do this occasionally,
Maybe.
that believe that they've got much more power and influence than they really have, and all of those things. But for most of the time, what we see is where people personalise the negative.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess that can be helped, if that's the right word, with feedback, can't it? And I'm thinking actually about, in the previous podcast, Rich and I talked a little bit about with children, and I guess growing up, if you're always told positive stuff by your parents, you may well believe that, and then you are amazing and brilliant and all those things. If you're always told negative things, so I guess could it start from that young an age?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff comes in quite young. I think we learn a lot about these rules and the kind of ways to perceive the world, through our childhood.
Yeah.
And then we pay, and the reality is the version of these we get, it's a bit like personality. The version of the personality you get is the one that worked for you at that time. It isn't necessarily the right one or the one that's the best for all the situations. It just worked for you in that time.
Yeah.
So if you're in a dysfunctional environment, what works to navigate a dysfunctional environment probably isn't going to work to navigate a functional environment.
Yeah.
Yet they're the rule set you've got. That's what you've learned to do.
Yes.
That's what you're playing. That's the deck the hand you're dealt.
Hand dealt with, yeah.
And so what you see here is people then take a situation or an event and interpreted it through them being the effect of that event, them having some agency over that event that may be completely unrelated. So a classic example, let's do a classic example, right? I went and have a conversation with the boss. The boss is in a bad mood. They say something flippant and, slightly annoys me. I've clearly upset the boss. I'm clearly therefore doing bad work.
Yeah.
Right. I always think of somebody I worked for in the past who you go very often when you're in a conversation with him. He was in the mood of the previous conversation.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the conversation you're having, because he had some emotional regulation issues, I would say, and therefore carried them over into the next meeting. Well, if you personalise it, then you could walk out and go, he hates me. It's nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
He's just in a bad mood. He's having a bad day.
Yeah. But that's personalisation. Is that going, boss is in a bad mood, has said something to me, and therefore it's my fault?
So you can think of it in three things. You can think about it about reactions of others. So I got this from you. I have caused this from you. So that kind of interaction. You can interpret it through events. We didn't win that deal. Therefore, I am a terrible salesperson.
Yeah.
And you can interpret it through worth. So situations that are almost neutral, they're kind of irrelevant, but are impacting on your self-esteem or self-worth. So I turned up at an event and they didn't have my badge ready for me at the event, but the person in front of me's badge was on the table waiting to go. Therefore, I am not worthy to be at this event, or these people don't want me here. Yeah. As opposed to going, actually, there was 3 tables of badges and I'm standing at the wrong table.
You're not at the table that's got H on.
yeah. And little things like that. So you've got different versions of how we personalise.
Yeah.
The key theme here is I'm at the middle of all these. And one of the sort of reasons we can do this, particularly with other individuals, is where we're highly empathetic.
Empathetic?
Yes. Lots of empathy. And so we're kind of reading everything you feel and then interpreting it through our own lens because we think we're causing that feeling.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like, some of the mind reading stuff we've talked about in one of the other thinking errors. I have to kind of work out what you're thinking by almost going, what would I be thinking if this was happening to me? But it's not happening to me. I don't have all the facts.
Yeah.
And so I this is kind of, I'm using your actions. I'm using what you do, but I'm using my intentions.
Yes.
I wouldn't be mean to you, Graham.
Yeah.
Unless you'd really annoyed me.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're being mean to me. I must have really annoyed you.
Yeah.
As opposed to going, I wonder why Graham's in a bad mood all of a sudden.
That's that thing, phrase or whatever is about, I judge myself by my intentions.
And others
I know what they are, but I judge you and others by their actions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And therefore you get this sort of thinking error of I'm going to mix the two up. And then if I assume I'm clearly the one at fault,
Yeah.
I've personalised it.
Yes.
And therefore I'm taking things that happen in the world and making them about me when they're probably not about me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're never about you. Occasionally they might be about you.
Yeah.
I walked in and thumped him. He got angry. Probably is about you. Yeah.
Maybe don't go around thumping people, Paul.
Yeah. I was just an analogy. I wouldn't hurt a fly, me. So if you've got high empathy, you're likely to see a lot of stuff and then could start thinking it's about you.
Okay. Yeah.
If you've got a need for control, then you're going to believe you can control more than the world really allows you to control. And therefore you're going to start going when things don't work the way you think they should work.
Yeah.
It's good about you. I see this a lot, when we do work around resilience, there's a thing in resilience theory which I quite like, is this idea of bricolage, of being, able to deal with what's there and bricolage, yes. It's a French word that means DIY, which I always think is really funny, but it's this this ability to kind of go, I'll just play with what's there. I'll kind of make something sort of there. But we see a lot of people on the sort of the opposing side of it is people go, right, to solve this problem, this needs to happen, this needs to happen. So they create a list of made up stuff.
Yeah.
And then they go, well, why is nothing on my list happening? Why have my bosses not done these things I need? Why have management not done this? And why have this other department not done this? And then the personalisation kicks in and going, well, they do not respect me here, or they do not understand my value, or they hate me and they're going to get rid of me.
Yeah.
And you go, none of that's true. The reality is, if we think about it really honestly, the amount of time we spend thinking about other people is pretty low.
Yeah.
And therefore the amount of time they spend thinking about us is pretty low.
So we probably spend more time thinking about what we think other people are thinking about us than they're actually spending thinking about us.
Yeah, that's it. Most of us, in reality, are so absorbed in our own little world that we're not thinking about anybody. I'm not sitting there going, oh, you've done something terrible. I'm sitting there going, I wonder what I need for lunch. And have I done the right thing? So we're all kind of that. So that's what's playing out.
It's all about you.
Yeah. And the other reason we personalise it is because, if I feel uncomfortable or, I've got a level of discomfort with what's going on, by pulling it back to me, I feel like I have more control than I really do.
Right.
Because the one thing in the world I am in control of is me. And so it gives me an illusion of control but it's an illusion of control. It might not be real.
Yeah.
Because I'm, and so, a lot of the time, actually seeing it through that lens is quite helpful to us. What we're really talking about as a thinking error is where we're not being helpful to ourselves, not being kind to ourselves, because we're personalising ourselves for stuff that is either the leap in the logic is completely wrong.
Yeah.
This happened, therefore I'm no good. Well, they're not connected topics. Yeah. I did a presentation, the projector failed, I'm a terrible presenter. What's it got to do with your presenting skills?
Yeah.
The projector failed.
The equipment failed. Yeah.
Stuff happens. So either it's that kind of, or we're misreading the reaction of others. We're interpreting it incorrectly because we're not looking at it beyond the environment of our interaction with them and going, that's a whole person.
Yeah.
So you see in the workplace, you think about this in the workplace, we see this with managers all the time and go, somebody's work performance has gone off. They've gone off the boil. I think they're leaving. I think, you go, all that might be true. But actually it could be they're struggling with a project. It could be they've got stuff going on outside of work. It could be they're worried about something. There's 100 reasons why this could be happening. If your immediate reason is, and therefore it's me, well, that's a bit of a leap. And there is a lot of ego in that, I guess is what you're saying.
So when we recognise we're doing this, what can we do about it? And I'm going to ask you two questions in one, which I know is really bad. But what can we do about it? And is it different if it's...
I don't think it's really bad, by the way. I don't want you going personalising this on me.
If it's... is it different if I'm personalising from the point of view of it's all bad, therefore it's my fault, compared to it's all good and it's because of me? So first question first, what can we do generally when we recognise we are personalising?
Okay, well, the first one is even if you don't recognise it, is to constantly ask your question, actually, what was my role in this? You know, Spike Milligan, what was my role in Hitler's downfall? How much of this was really about me? And so look at that situation and go, yeah, okay, like a lot of these thinking errors, what's the evidence for this feeling that this was about me?
Yeah.
What other alternative explanations are there in all of this? So if you think about, what is it reasonable in this situation for me to take on board and go, yeah, I own that bit. I did do that. I did cause that reaction. I did get this thing wrong. And what of it is actually you go, well, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could have done there, or particularly in the workplace, go, actually this decision was made by a group of us.
Yeah.
I didn't make a bad decision. Yeah. We made a bad decision. I was
part of a committee decision.
Yeah. The other one I think is there's a bit of hindsight bias that I think comes in this as well, which is to go, yeah, okay, if we got this wrong, did we get this wrong with the best intentions at the time, or did we make a mistake? I.e., if I'm back in that position with the same set of data, is the decisions I made and the things I did clearly wrong? Because if they are, then that's a learning opportunity to go, no, you've got this data, you did A, you should have done B, learn from that. But if the reality is, well, we didn't, the things that tell me I got it wrong, we didn't know. Well, that.
Yeah.
And I feel this is where I feel for political leaders, because political leaders live their life having somebody at the end of it. And I think sports managers as well, actually, live their life at the end of it with people who turn up and go, well, I wouldn't have done that for these 3 reasons. Yeah. But you didn't know that at the point the decision was
because you watched the event unfold.
Yeah. I've got to the end of the game and realised this happened. I would have made a difference. Yeah, well, we're all a genius in hindsight. So I think that some of that stuff, so that one is that kind of just having a really honest conversation about what part of this is realistically mine to own and what isn't. And sometimes we need other people to help us with that conversation. Sometimes that's a really tough conversation to have on your own, because if you're personalising it, you're probably not in the best frame of mind in the first place. Yeah. And therefore you're going to go, what wasn't mine to own? No, all of it was mine. Yeah. I should have been better.
Yeah, so maybe it might be a manager, might be a coach, might be a peer, but somebody going, maybe asking the question just to dive a little bit deeper.
Yes. I think the other side of it is to just almost use a little bit of humour and tell yourself, it's not all about you. It's not
Stick
all
McFly on.
Yeah. Have a little.
It is all about you.
Yeah. But just go, hang on, this is not all about you. Other people were involved. Other situations were involved. There were circumstances. There were, life has a little bit of luck thrown in and a little bit of.
Is there a watch out there that goes, if I'm the kind of person that personalises, and I do switch from it being my fault, is there a danger then go, therefore it's Paul's fault, and I shift the blame to somebody else?
Yeah, and I think one of the things here is to be really careful about blame. It's tough to do this, but you go, try and be less worried about who's to blame and be more worried about what actually happened. Why did this happen? So I went into this meeting. It didn't turn out the way I wanted. This person reacted like that. I'm more interested in why did they react like that? And if it's something I did that caused that, I can grow and learn from that. But actually it's to see it in the bigger picture. What else was going on?
Yeah.
What else was happening? What were they dealing with? What was playing out? And you can test that. If you're personalisation with another person, you go, to actually just say to them in a really honest way, so I'm sensing here that I've got this wrong. This is on me. Because you're going to find a lot of the time, people are then going to respond with empathy and go, well, no, hang on a minute, I'm having a bad day, or I'm really sorry about that, or this other project's worrying me.
They might not even be aware they've been as they've been.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of that playing out. And I think the other thing is to kind of go, list off all the factors. So accept that I'm part of this. I'm in this situation. Me is one of the factors.
Yeah.
What were all the others? And then try and go, I wonder what percentage of all these factors is me. And once you've got a list, it's much harder to go, I'm 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it a lot at the moment where you're talking to people about, difficult sales situations. and the and they're going, I'm not doing very well, and then you get them to list off all the factors, and you suddenly go, the economy is really bad right now. Times are really tight. There's a lot going on in the world, and there's been a pandemic followed by a cost of living crisis, followed by maybe it isn't me.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes just to see the bigger picture and build up the list cause you to have a very different debate. Because when you go, a global pandemic, a cost of living crisis, a war in Ukraine, I may be overplaying my part in this a little bit. So I think that's big. But like I say, just checking in with other people I think is always useful. And this sounds a bit twee, but I genuinely believe this, to be, okay, but let's be a bit kind to me and go, did I really cause this?
Yeah.
Did I, have a bit of compassion? And that might be going, I might have to accept I may not have all the influence I think I have, and I might not be as in control as much as I'm in control.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's just it's that kind of acceptance that, when we look at the world and we see what's coming back at us, we feel like we're looking in a mirror, and what's coming back up is a reflection of us.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is. And even when we look in a mirror, everything's slightly distorted and reversed, and you always think of that. Things may look closer than they seem. They stick at all cars. It's not a fully accurate description of the world.
Yeah.
And we've got to see ourselves in the context. So sometimes if you're looking at what's coming back, don't look at you in the mirror. Look at the picture of you in the mirror.
Look at everything,
and go, well, I'm just part of this.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that, and if I guess people are listening to all of this series, one of the things I think that seems to be common with a lot of this, with thinking errors generally, is there's this, and I've mentioned it in previous ones, almost this, how do we move from this more emotional response we often have to a more rational response? So taking a step back, seeing the bigger picture, looking for the evidence, finding out what my part actually is in all this.
Yes.
Is another example of in this case from personalisation, there's some stuff that we can do that actually can help us go from perhaps a more emotional to a more rational state, which then enables us to see what we did contribute or where we were the cause for something not going quite as planned, as opposed to being, it's all about me.
Yeah, and I think this is where the whole low-cost error thing with thinking errors plays out quite significantly for me, because you go, at one level, you go, if you do assume it's your fault all the time, you probably apologise a lot of the time for your behaviour or reactions, and that probably gets you a lot of empathy back and gets a lot of interesting conversations. So you go, a lot of the time, actually, it isn't causing you that much of a problem. It might even be quite helpful sometimes. But sometimes it's going to cause you to react or act or not act in ways that are unhelpful, because the leap that you have made by making this about you causes you to then take the wrong next steps, either feel underconfident or devalued, and we see this in coaching. We see this all the time, that people get into relationships, particularly through difficult times with a manager, where they start interpreting the actions as either they don't like me, they're going to get rid of me, they don't value my work. And you step back from it and see it in the big picture and go, oh, hang on a minute, I'm asking for this. I'm asking about number 10 on their list.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the reaction because number 1 right now is absolutely crippling them.
Yeah. They're focused on something else.
Yeah. And when I see it in the bigger picture, I've just asked about something that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
And I'm getting upset because they haven't jumped all over it.
Yeah.
And you see this a lot, particularly in change, I think, where we can get focused on the 1 or 2 bits that really affect us without seeing the bigger picture.
Yes. Yeah. Great.
And that's why that step back is such an important thing.
Yeah.
See yourself in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And be it's that humble, slightly difficult thing of going, it's not all about you.
Yeah. Q McFly.
Next time on The Question Is.
And there's a fine line between high standards, striving to be better, wanting to do more, accepting I can do more, and then dropping over to actually nothing's ever good enough. I can't achieve.
To find out how Thinking Focus can unlock the potential within your organisation, go to www.thinkingfocus.com, where you'll discover more about the work we do, helping our clients increase productivity and enable change.